Got it. So the title of today's talk is Bookkeepers, CPAs, EAs, Oh My, and I'm pretty sure there are other few titles that could be thrown into this as well. So we're going to kind of talk about what is a bookkeeper, what's a CPA, what's an enrolled agent, because like Wendy said, I want to see if I can see you guys. I have you on I'm sharing my screen and I can't see you and it feels like I'm just talking to myself. So let me figure out how I can see some faces here. But like Wendy said, someone will come up and say, I need help with my business or my business finances. And it's like, well, what exactly do you need? I get phone calls, especially this time of year, people saying, hey, I have taxes. Can you help me with my taxes? And we explain that's not what we do. We will help get your books ready so that your tax person can take care of them. But our focus is not on tax accounting. It is more management accounting or bookkeeping. So I'm going to give a very, very brief overview of which each of these are, and then we're going to do something super interactive that hopefully will be kind of fun. Bookkeeper, and I'm going to look to my left because this is where my notes are. So bookkeepers, our main job is kind of keeping the financial data in the business, and there are varying ranges, I think, of skill levels of bookkeepers. In our business, we're not just maintaining the books, we're also meeting with our clients monthly, helping them to set KPIs and kind of see how they can use their financial information to drive their business growth. So we act kind of as also do some controller work. When people think of CPAs, usually they're thinking of taxes, but CPAs can also do things like audit financials. They're doing, they have to pass certain certification to do that. They're doing financial planning a lot of times. So, and some CPAs will do bookkeeping, and some bookkeepers do taxes. So therein lies the confusion, but just kind of seeing what's their specialty. And then in this particular example, when I said enrolled agents are tax professionals that are licensed to practice before the IRS, and their focus is just going to be on taxes. Some of them may have some accounting or bookkeeping background, but their focus is usually on taxes. So before I go any further, any questions about just that part of it, like the definitions, and then we'll kind of go into more detail. Nope. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go to the next page. So if you were like, hey, my business needs help, the first question would be, what kind of help does your business need with? So just go ahead and unmute yourself and just literally start telling me like what, and I can't see both screens. So maybe Wendy, if you want to call on people for me, if you could just tell me, so when you think of, I need help with my business finances, or I have questions about my business finances, what are some of the questions or things you think you would need help with? And I'm just going to write these sticky notes here.
Okay.
Anyone?
So what was your question again?
So if someone says, I need help with my business finances, or I have questions about business finances, what kind of questions or tasks or help do you think you need? And we're going to basically, what the goal is, we're going to put these on stickies. And then on the next screen, we have bookkeeper, CPA, enrolled agent, and we're going to kind of move these stickies to kind of see where they would fall, to kind of visually help to understand what people kind of do, because I can tell you a definition, but when you start to see some of those things, it may make more sense.
Sure. All right. So I'm going from the chat here because Barnsley put a couple things in there. So she said VA. And then
like virtual assistant.
Yeah. And then tax preparer. Cleaning person.
Okay.
We have independent financial advisor.
Okay.
And then we had insurance agent.
Yeah, but I'm muted.
So I'm going to throw QuickBooks in here, even though no one has said it.
Planning is I used to work in CAS, so I know tax planning and cash flow management are really on top of the list.
Yes. Okay.
What about payroll?
Payroll. It's a good one.
Sarah put how to prepare for potential audit.
That's a big one. So let's put that over here. I'm gonna put it twice, audit and then audit preparation. I heard someone else says something else.
Oh, what
Payroll,
about financial coach?
financial coaching.
Profit and loss.
Okay. What about sales taxes?
Mhm.
If you sell any kind of product, you have to think about that. 1099.
Business coach. Everybody needs a business coach. I have 8. They keep me moving forward. They kick my butt.
I can't even find one.
Any other financial like things that people make when you think of finances, like, oh, I had a question about this, or I would like for someone to help me with this part of my finances. Anything else you're thinking of? If not, we'll move to the next page, but I want to give everyone an opportunity.
Can I add debt financing?
That financing.
How about,
Covered in the independent financial advisor.
It's up.
we already put that on there. It's on there.
That one's up there.
Yeah. I
Right
thought
How
up
it
there.
about just not knowing where to start? So what kind of things are needed when you just don't know?
Ah,
Well, that's where coaching comes in, I think.
What about,
like business startup, should you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's it.
and what about, you did cash flow, okay. What about like banking or loans or, fundings, that sort of thing?
Okay. So that's
And what
quite
was the big one just a couple years ago was the wonderful SBA, right?
right, exactly. Okay, perfect. So
Licenses.
you said licenses?
Yeah. The licenses and the business insurance that are necessary.
Someone did mention insurance agent, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did. But I was thinking about everything with that. Your umbrella, your homeowners, if you have a home office, you want to make sure that that's covered with your homeowners, et cetera.
Ah,
what How about understanding whether you should be an LLC or an S corp, or what's the best
The business structure.
structure? Yeah, so maybe that would be like an attorney, actually.
Yep, legal help.
okay. So we have quite a few. So what I'm going to do now is try to drag this over a little bit more so I can get to the next screen. And then we're going to pull this over. It worked in practice, so it should work again today. There we go. So we're going to actually just take some of these and kind of pull them over into where they would go. So I'm going to start with some of the obvious ones. And some of these I'm going to duplicate because like here we have tax preparer. So honestly, that could go in all 3 buckets, right? Because like I said, there are plenty of bookkeepers that prepare taxes, tax accountants, CPAs, obviously prepare taxes, enrolled agents prepare taxes. I'm going to move cleaning person over for a second until we get to the financial stuff. QuickBooks, typically going to be here. And occasionally, duplicate, you would have it over here as well with your CPA. You may not find a tax preparer, an enrolled agent doing that. Independent financial advisor, believe it or not, most of those are separate. That's a whole nother category. That's a Linda thing, right? So, but there may be some CPA firms that have a financial advisor arm to it. So we can kind of stick that down here in the corner. But there are going to be too many bookkeepers or enrolled agents doing financial advising. Tax planning, I will say, if you're looking for a tax planning, you want to be with your CPA because you want to make sure that, especially as your business is growing, that you're not just having someone to prepare your taxes after the fact, is your business, if your business is growing and you're profitable, like Barnsley, your client that had the $15,000 last month, right? If she's going to be hitting those milestones every month, then she should be looking at meeting with her tax advisor throughout the year so that she can be pivoting and making decisions that's going to help minimize her tax liabilities next year. Cash flow management can one of those things that can fall into a couple of categories, because that is actually something that we can help our clients with if they are a monthly recurring client and we know their business. But your CPA, again, if they're doing bookkeeping, could handle that. So I'm going to put that over here because yes, they could do it, but they should be doing bookkeeping as well. Audit is always going to be a CPA thing, because that's what they do. We are not licensed to do audits because I didn't want to do audits. That's why I decided not to get a CPA. Audit preparation, on the other hand, is something that, believe it or not, we offer. So because usually the CPA is doing the audit, your bookkeeping firm is in your books every day, right? They're in your books every month. They know, so they can help you get the documentation together to prepare for an audit. So if you are having an audit come, and I say audit, I mean, it could be a tax audit, then it's going to be your tax person. But if it's a general audit, it could also be your bookkeeper, depending on your business. Any questions so far before I keep moving stickies around?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
So I'm in a situation where I've used the same bank account since I got started about 7 years ago, but my documentation for invoices has changed. I didn't do quarterly taxes for the first couple years because I didn't know that that was a thing.
Mhm.
Like, is that if I wanted someone to go back and get all my documentation in order in case I ever get audited, would I go to a bookkeeper?
You could, the most cost-effective way would definitely be a bookkeeper. When you say where is the information currently stored? So that would be my first question. So is it all just in the bank account, or?
It's all on my computer, with the bank account, and then also PDFs of every invoice I've sent out before.
Mhm. So, and I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole, but I would say if you were using software, were you using software to send out your invoices, or you just have PDFs?
I used QuickBooks for a while, but to save money, I've been using Excel and just printing PDFs.
Yeah. In that case, I think that's more of an administrative task. You're just looking for someone to kind of aggregate information and kind of organize it for you. So you could have a VA do that, because it's not really bookkeeping. It's more just putting information in a place that you have access to it in case you are audited. A bookkeeper could help kind of set the guidelines and maybe tell you what you need to have, and then you could then maybe save some money by having like a virtual assistant or someone actually go in and just drag things to where it needs to be.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Carleen, one of the key things that I've had people approach me on was, well, can't I just get a VA to do my bookkeeping for me? And I think that I'd like just to have a little bit of a expert opinion on what why it would be important to have a bookkeeper versus just a VA. In the
Right.
case that Sarah's talking about is just pulling the data, but
Right. She's not talking about actually doing the bookkeeping. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So if a VA is experienced and has accounting experience, not just QuickBooks experience, but they actually understand the accounting, then sure, they could do bookkeeping. When I say understand it, I don't mean they did it for 6 months for a previous employer. The problem with, if you've ever seen any of the, like, for example, I'm going to pick on QuickBooks, any of the QuickBooks commercials, like Danny DeVito's in the gym and, he works out and he grabs his phone and he's like, bookkeeping done, I can run my business and I'm good. If it were that simple, I wouldn't be in business. Let's just put it out there. So the problem is when things go wrong, if you don't understand the underlying accounting, it becomes harder to fix and then problems compound. So when clients come to me, it's because they're frustrated. Their books are usually a mess. They're trying to do it while they're trying to run their business, or they had someone who's an admin that they just was like, here, you do this. It makes sense for you to do it. Or a spouse is doing it and it just kind of has grown beyond their control. And I see the same problems over and over again. we do something that's called a diagnostic review, and I have a template, and literally every single one, I mean, if I see 10 today, 9 would have very similar problems. And that's just because people just don't understand the accounting. They don't understand like what a your balance should look like on a liability versus an asset, and they just don't know. So I would caution you not to just hire anyone to do your books. It's going to cost you a lot more money down in the long run. So did I hear another question?
Oh, Carleen, this is Julie. I just wanted to add just to the group that VA is not going to understand the chart of accounts. So that's the #1 problem. And that's why a bookkeeper is needed to have that background, because they're going to make decisions and also kind of set up best practices for your business. So that so then you can probably hire someone to kind of follow instructions, but setting it up or cleaning it up, I've been through so many cleanups, it's not worth the mess.
And it costs you a lot more money. Like the money you thought you were saving by having a VA do it, you're gonna end up paying for it in the cleanup phase, because it's sometimes if you have a good tax accountant. And here's the other thing I will caution. Your tax accountant should actually be, I think, and Julie, you can tell me if you agree with this, but they should be looking at your books, not just taking a report that you printed out to pay your taxes, because how do they know if the numbers are right? I don't know. Julie, do you have an opinion on that?
Yes, you know what? I totally agree with you, because I've sort of been in the middle before where took over, I was handling CAS and we were confident giving it to the tax accountants. Whereas a client that didn't touch their books for an entire year, you can't just take reports from there. You have to do some cleanup work and understand, because ultimately the tax accountant cannot take responsibility for something that they are not confident about. So I totally agree with you there.
Yeah. So is that very long-winded answer to your question, Wendy, but does it answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah.
I'm going to hop back over to the stickies, but feel free to interrupt me as we go along. So 1099s, we just got to this crazy 1099 season. Typically, it's going to be one of these two people that are doing it. Payroll could be, again, see, a lot of these do overlap, but there are some things that are very specific to a specific company. Sales taxes can be either or. Now, I will say, so a lot of the things that are both bookkeepers and CPAs, typically speaking, it's usually going to be more cost effective for a bookkeeper, because most CPA firms are larger. A lot of them are focusing on tax work. And if they are kind of a one-person show and they're trying to do taxes and bookkeeping, a lot of times, especially this time of the year, it's hard to do both because they're so inundated with taxes. So if you think, oh, I'll just have one person do everything, you may be doing yourself a disservice, which is why I wanted to make sure that we had this conversation today to say, here's what this person does, here's what that person does, and here's why you should probably think of both. Most of my clients, well, all of our clients have both. They have us as their bookkeeping firm, and then they have a CPA firm or a tax professional to do their taxes. We work with them, we partner with them, we share information, but that is completely, it's in their best interest to have them both. Juju had mentioned like just not knowing where to start. I think either one of these can help, but I know in our case, that's one of our specialties. We definitely love working with startups. So if you just don't know what you don't know, a bookkeeper, I think a lot of times would be a good place to start. Financial coaching. It depends on whoever said financial coaching, can you maybe explain a little bit more about what you meant by financial coaching?
I think that was Barnsley.
Actually, no, not the financial coaching. I put
Okay.
business
Business
coaching.
coaching, yeah, which is
Yeah.
totally, yeah, that's what that would come out of. I mean, there are, I guess you could do some business coaching, but I don't think of any of these as necessarily a business coach, just like none of us are insurance agents, can definitely give you some good contacts for that. Same thing with banking, and we can, we're not a bank, we can recommend a bank. I'm trying to think what else. Business startups. I say someone mentioned a tax attorney or an attorney for business startup. Also, when you're looking at your business structure or changing your business structure, I think you should really consult with a tax advisor and not just a lawyer. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the legal structure that makes sense. How is it going to impact your taxes? That's huge. And most attorneys don't have the financial background to know how the startup. So whether or not you should be an S Corp, C Corp, LLC, sole proprietor, I think you should consult with a CPA. That would be my advice on that. Which was right here, business structure advice. And then loan funding. Obviously, none of us are giving loans, but I will say with COVID, we had lots of experience of helping to prepare our clients and get the information that was needed to apply for the PPP loans and things like that. So having a financial person in your back pocket, our clients had us to help them walk through and get through that first round, as opposed to if you were trying to figure it out on your own, you may have missed deadlines, you may not have had the documentation that was needed to quickly apply. If you remember, those first rounds of funding kind of went through so quickly that some people just missed out. So already being prepared and having that team in place makes it a lot easier. Debt financing, I think that's probably, it just depends on what exactly you mean by that. I think, Julie, that was you.
I meant more like seeking new debt financing, a loan and things like that. I know, the CPA firm that I worked, at, they had an advisory services section or department that did a little bit of advising, but I don't know how common that is.
Yeah, I know that we don't do advising. We will do referrals and we will support our clients and whatever they need to get approved for loans. So in that case, we could help, but we don't really do advising. We will look at and we can basically help our clients. We can help if they're already existing client, making sure that it makes sense, financially. Are they going to save money? Is it going to, we know their cash flow, so we can look at that. So yeah, so in that case, we could help. But as you can see down here, so if you're looking for just taxes, this is your enrolled agent. But if you're looking for more comprehensive support, you're going to be looking at a bookkeeper or a tax accountant or CPA. And so it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. Profit and loss, that's going to be either or. Does this help kind of like visually explain what these people do, how they overlap? And I guess at this point, a bigger question is, why would I choose a CPA over a bookkeeper? And the answer is you really wouldn't. You would have them both. In the perfect world, you have them both. Even if you're a CPA, you're only meeting with them a couple of times a year, but having that relationship as opposed to just waiting to have someone just prepare your taxes who just doesn't know anything about your business. So I'm going to stop sharing at that point. Any questions, or does anything not? Yes, Sarah.
Now, when you have a bookkeeper who's looking over your financials, like, would you, like, let's say you would need to do something like QuickBooks where they could grant access to your account too. So they would have access to all your financials whenever they want, like your bank account, and like, is that how it works?
Yeah, so what happens is with QuickBooks and any other financial software, usually your bank accounts are integrated, so the transactions are being downloaded. So usually we're just looking at your QuickBooks and doing what we need there. Now for our clients, some of them will send us statements at the end of the month. Some of them we have our own login to pull up their statements. It just depends on the client, what their bank allows and their how confident they are that they've chosen the right person to work with. But yeah, we never have fiduciary access to a client's money. We don't write checks. I can't spend anything. I don't have your credit cards. It's just, it's just the back end stuff, right?
Thanks.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, misconceptions are even better.
So, oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, no, I think especially when I started my business, I would have really benefited from someone who could have just told me, okay, you need to pay sales tax in North Carolina. You need to do quarterly taxes. You know, I really needed someone, and I almost wish I had someone like that right now, just to make sure that, am I doing everything I'm supposed to be doing? You know?
Well,
It-
it's never too late to,
Okay.
to get some information. So, I mean, I'd be happy to schedule some time to chat with you. But yeah, it's never too late, no matter how long you've been in business or how new you are in business. I think understanding the basics of the business finances is just always going to help you in the long run.
Okay, thank you.
And you're never too small either. So, Wendy, you were going to say something?
I was going to say that there's a lot of resources out there for small business owners to get started, and I truly believe in, you know, the Small Business Administration has a lot of online courses, a lot of free stuff that you can go to help you figure different types of things out for your business. And Julie mentioned that she's like helping people with business plans and things of that
Mhm.
nature. Business plans really do start talking about and going through some of your basics as far as the financial part of it is concerned. And Barnsley just typed in, a business coach should help you with everything you need to get set up for your business.
And
And
check out the small business centers all over North Carolina, because your taxpayer, I present for these, but your taxpayer money pays for excellent one day, 2 hour, 1 hour, 3 hour seminars on sales and use tax, on your legal entity, on bookkeeping, on all this stuff. It's not a replacement for an expert, but it'll let you know what you need, what's missing.
Mhm.
Yes, I wanted to add that, I recently interviewed for the position of director of the, small business, group at Wake Tech, and they have a location in Cary. And they have workshops, they have counselors you can schedule time with. It's pretty amazing. And it's all just offered for small business owners, so. Every community college in North Carolina, I believe, has one, so it's a
Mhm.
great resource.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I know that they are a great resource, and I know that some people are still like, there's so much information, they just get overwhelmed because there, like you were saying, Wendy, there's a lot of information, but there's a lot of information. So sometimes for some people, it's just like, I need someone to just tell me exactly what I need to do. In that case, one-on-one might be best.
Absolutely.
I also
Absolutely.
think there's such a valuable attribute of letting somebody like Carleen set everything up for you to do, so that when your business grows and you're ready to delegate, you can turn right back to Carleen, who set everything up and knows and she can just pick right up where you're dropping off, and it'll be seamless and smooth. And and it's great to have somebody like her to reach out to for individual questions, because you can go to a seminar and get a wealth of information, and then you have one question. Well, you can't go back to the seminar and ask it now, it's over. But you have a relationship. The relationship is very powerful. That's basically the short version of what I want to say.
Training is always good. If you're going to DIY, if you're going to do it yourself, having someone help you set it up. When I say it, meaning like QuickBooks. And then, if you are going to DIY your own LLC, still speaking with someone, not, to help make sure that you're making the right choice. Just to kind of get a professional's opinion is usually worth it.
Definitely. I'm going to hit the stop for the recording. Thank you so much, Carleen.